views and opinions expressed do not necessarily reflect those of Access Fort Wayne, the Allen County Public Library, or any other supporting groups. If you'd like to produce a show, call us at 260-421-1250.
Patty Hunter of Patty's Page. I am at the Arts United Center, and beside me is Terry Doran, my co-host.
Well, hello, Patty. Thank you for having me. I'm always thrilled to be with you, and especially our guest, Harvey Cocks.
This is Harvey Cocks over here, the main man. What do you do?
I'm artist in residence at Fort Wayne Youth Theater. I was for 32 years the executive director.
Oh, my stars.
Wow.
Well, we had you on our show.
Well, I just want to say, why don't we start with Youth Theater had a celebration, I believe, of 50 years.
80 years.
And you might be too modest to say, in this very room, and people came from all over Europe, all over the United States, to pay tribute to Harvey, who taught them
Even
over
my
the
first year
years.
students came.
Yeah, and that was what year?
These adults walked up and said, "You don't know me." I said, "No, I don't." You've grown.
Well, what year was that, Harvey, your first year?
1978.
Oh my gosh.
1978. And I gave up the career in New York to do this. Yeah.
So, you've been all over the map, or just...
Oh, we lived everywhere. I was raised in show business. And my father was a promoter for Paramount Pictures. And the first time we came out here in Fort Wayne, he opened the Paramount Theater for Paramount Pictures. And this was in 1929.
Whoa.
And Clyde Quimby thought so much of him, he offered him a job to stay here. My father said no, he was a gypsy, you see. So we moved 50-some times during my childhood.
My
yes.
gosh.
Did you know that in my background, I am a gypsy?
Oh, really?
Many moons ago, about 4 or 5 centuries ago.
For heaven's sakes.
50 times? Wow.
Yes.
Where are some of the places you lived in?
Des Moines, Iowa, Akron, Ohio. My favorite was a little town called Findlay, Ohio.
Yeah.
My father suddenly had all the Ohio and Indiana territory to promote pictures. And I loved the kids there. I loved the atmosphere. I loved the people. They were the most friendly people I've ever met.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Well, Findlay, Ohio, congratulations. You're one of Harvey's favorite places, and he's been all over.
Have you been overseas, right?
Oh, yes. I spent 2 years in Europe. I went over with the Army, but the Army didn't pay too much at the time. So I got a job singing at a key club. I used to sing, believe it or not.
Wow. I didn't know that.
And later on, a friend of mine came over to star in the Casino de Paris. And so I stewed for her in my Army uniform in the box at the Casino de Paris. And then I'd run over to the Mars Club and sing. And I had a very wonderful accompanist who was just starting in the business, and he later came over to the United States and became a big star. It was Barbara Short.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. It's amazing.
Do you parlez-vous français, eh?
Pardon?
Parlez-vous français?
Oh,
Un petit
I
peu.
did at the time.
At the time, yeah, long
And
time ago.
I gave it up several years ago.
You have a walking encyclopedia of all the famous showbiz people
Well-
you met. Let me just say one, because right before we went on the air, I told you I was wearing my beret in honor of you, and you were in Life with Father, a star
Yes,
on Broadway.
yes.
And I bought this in New York City when I was showing my documentary there, The Shadow of the Dream. And I walked around, and I was in Central Park, and I met Woody Allen, was filming Hannah and her sister, and yeah, it was
I've
a
never
thrill.
met him.
Yeah, met him a couple times, and then you met Sherlock Holmes.
That's a
Oh,
rat
you
bone.
got this, Mike.
He used
You
to walk
met
his
him?
dogs every day in the park.
What year were you born? I hate to ask, but I like to ask. No.
1925.
1925.
I'm 89 years old.
89 years
in
old.
April, I'll be 90.
Aye.
Harvey is my hero, my inspiration, man. 89 and going strong, and still writing plays, acting in plays, still working with children.
Yes, very much so.
And that is...
I gave up New York to come out
Yeah,
here
that's-
to work with young people.
And Fort Wayne's
And I'm
game.
currently directing this Ted Fast Tin Soldier for the Youth Theater, which we presented across the street in the black box.
And I saw that. It said original adaptation by
Yes,
Harvey
I wrote
Cocks.
it too.
And it said the very first play put on by Youth Theater was...
Yes, it was.
was-
It was the Steadfast Tin Soldier.
and-
And so I didn't like the original story because the two leading characters burn up at the end. I didn't want to present that
that's-
at Christmas, so I wrote my own in a toy playhouse.
Oh.
This setting is a toy playhouse. And
Fantastic.
the house and the toys are up for sale.
Wow.
And what happens, I can't explain it to you. You'll have to come and see the play.
Is it up for auction or for sale?
Pardon?
For auction or for sale?
Oh,
Those
for
items.
sale.
For sale?
Yes.
And you...
So the toys are bemoaned and are grief-stricken and unhappy until they find out whether the house is going to be sold or they're going to be sold.
Wow.
Or whether they'll stay together.
See, still writing plays.
Oh, yes.
Still acting. I saw
Still
you on
young.
Access TV. Yeah, still young.
Up here.
Yeah, no. That's what keeps you young.
Oh, it
Working
does.
with kids, writing, acting, directing.
And I was acted in the first play presented by the Youth Theater. I played the professor in The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe,
Wow.
which was directed by Leslie Horman, who is now a
yeah.
wonderful executive director
She's the exec.
of Youth
Really?
Theater.
She was the
Yes.
director, now the
Oh.
executive director.
Yes, and she's a former student
Oh.
of Youth Theater.
Well, how long ago was Wardrobe? What was it called?
4 years ago.
4 years ago. Oh,
Yes.
well, that's when you were a young person, eh? Many moons ago. So this is your home, where you're working here.
Glen Cove, Long Island. I was born in Glen Cove, Long Island. So New York never was anything special for me because we go in and see shows. And I remember the first show I ever saw was at the New Amsterdam Theater, a Ziegfeld production starring Eddie Cantor.
Cantor. And
It was titled Whoopi.
wow. And you got really your start, I think you told us in the other show we did, the first show with you, by working backstage a lot. Just kind of soaked up the atmosphere and the love
I
of theater.
encourage every child that comes into youth theater to work backstage because without backstage crew,
No.
would be no play.
No play. That is so important because
It's very
anything you do, like I was just saying, I went on a river trip and the people, there were canoers from Fort Wayne to Toledo. Obviously the canoers got the attention there in the water, but without all the people hauling all the equipment and dragging those canoes from place to place and setting up tents and cooking, there would have been no canoers.
Absolutely.
So it's the same thing.
People behind the scenes, no matter what the business is, who are vitally important.
And see, Harvey, that's why people respect you so much. You don't just look at the stars out on the stage.
Well, I learned this.
You look at everybody.
This before mentioning all these theaters and promoting all these events and meeting all these people, always being backstage. My father worked 7 days a week, you know.
7 days a week? Oh, my goodness. When did they start giving me out the weekends? You know, not working.
I don't know.
Many moons ago. I was going to ask you. Oh, there. I'll let you talk.
Well, I just wanted to say you heard some noise and kids tip appropriately. The Nutcracker is being performed here today, and they said there's going to be like 650 kids here, so it's kind of appropriate, really, with Harvey Cocks and having the kids and the background. They've been filing through here.
How many people work here in the Arts United Center?
Oh, my gosh, at least 100.
100?
100 people.
So how many people work for you?
Oh, I have 36 in my cast. 37, come to think of it.
Do you have regulars or?
I have cast certain people who I know I can rely on.
Yeah.
And
who's your fave? Or they are your fave?
they're all my favorite. I don't have a favorite.
Do you have a favorite
I don't have
play?
a favorite anything.
Do you have a favorite play?
No, I don't. I love all plays. I love all people. That's the way I am.
Oh my goodness.
Well, and that's why people respond to you.
Oh, I don't know.
No, really. I mean, you know, like we were talking about to start the show, and all the people coming for a 50-year anniversary to see Harvey was the main reason they came.
Well, it's wonderful of you to say that.
Yeah, and it's because you treated them all with
Well,
respect.
I learned this from my mother and father. I credit them. My father sat me down when I was 9 years old and taught me the facts of life. We had a long talk, and he said, always be kind to people and be generous and be nice. Some people may bark at you, but underneath they have covered up their kindness.
It's like a wall.
So I thank my parents for everything. And my sister was raised the same way.
Your dance, is it like therapy to a lot of kids?
Yes, I guess it is. I try to get it across to be nice and to have all this given to them and have them here. When I was young, we didn't have youth theaters, we didn't have ballets, we didn't have anything to go to, only for adults. And the country is rife and alive with opportunities for young people now. It's wonderful.
What's the age group of the kids coming here?
They start at 9 years and up to 16. I think 16. 17 is the oldest person I have.
How many teachers do you have? Do you have teachers that are helping the kids learn?
I think there are 8 teachers.
What kind of dances do you have? What kind of dances?
Oh, there's dancing teachers, there's a voice teacher, there are several acting teachers, every level of acting. We start at kindergarten
Ah.
and up. Yes.
That's fantastic. You mentioned you started out singing. Is that where you got your start?
Well,
what was
I went to a party. I was in Life of Father.
Yeah.
And I went to this party for Doran Clark, who was a very successful actor. And I met Nancy Walker, who was a big star. And I had played her father, and my father had booked her father. He was a vaudevillian. So,
from singing, was that your first excursion into show business, or were you in Life with Father first?
I was in Life with Father, and The Little Men I did too on Broadway.
Oh.
And eventually I was hired as Mike Todd hired me to sing his juvenile lead in a big Broadway musical at the Winter Garden Theater, which I did.
Oh my
but
gosh.
Thanks to Nancy Walker, who was a big Broadway star, who I had met when she was a little girl. Her father was a vaudevillian, and my father played the act. So she said, are you planning to make this your career? And I said, yes, I am. She said, well, what do you do? And I said, I had died right here for Life with Father. Yeah. And I said, what does this say to you? And she said, oh, I've seen you. I know you can act. But do you sing? Do you dance? And I said, no. She said, you have to do everything in show business. Yes. So she said, what are you doing 11 o'clock tomorrow morning? And I said, well, I'll be up and around. And she said, I'm going to take you to my singing teacher and my dance teacher. And she did. And for 8 years after I left Life of Father, I did nothing but musicals because it was discovered I had a natural ear, I had a natural placement, I could sing. So I've been very lucky. I've been very, very lucky.
I mean, every time I talk with you, I learn something new. And every time I think, I know everything there is to know about Harvey. Well, I know I didn't know everything, but I thought the main things. And didn't even know about
I'm only director because I met Ida Kassan, and he said, I'm teaching directing at the new school. So I went down and enrolled in his class.
Oh, my gosh. I was just going to say, Mike Todd, Around the World in 80 Days, right?
Well, and I was talking to people about celebrities last night. A young lady approached me from the cast, and I said, they're just people. And I've met Eleanor Roosevelt, I've met all kinds of people, and they're just people. I mean, General Eisenhower, he was just a person. And they lucked out, and they became very known and well known, and so. But basically, they're just people.
Very, very good words and wise words. I just saw yesterday a quote from Jim Carrey, the actor, the comedian. Yes. He said, "I wish everybody," I'm paraphrasing, but I wish everybody could be rich and famous so they'd know this is not the answer. Yes. So that just reminded me.
That's a great quote. That's a great quote.
Yeah, I thought it was.
I just want to know, where did you meet your wife?
I was in Europe for over 2 years, and I came back, and I got a Broadway show. I read for a Broadway show the first day I was back, and I was hired, so I went up to see my singing teacher, and I heard this young lady in the studio singing, and all kinds of bells went off, and trumpets blew. I was falling in love with the voice, and she came out at the end of the lesson. I said, would you have dinner with me, please? And she said, who is this nut? And that's when I met my wife, and I loved her dearly, and we shared theater. She was a lovely, lovely dancer.
How long were you married?
And she did Broadway shows too, and we had 2 children. Anne is our oldest, and our daughter, and Christopher is our son.
And where are they now? I know one. Your daughter's a nurse, you told me, right?
Medicine out in Hartford, Connecticut, and lives in Old Lyme, Connecticut. And my son, Christopher, is with me.
Oh, wonderful.
He's wonderful. He's very kind.
Great.
And very generous, too.
Great. So he lives with you?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, wonderful.
Yes.
Wonderful.
How long were you married?
Oh, my gosh, we got...
Many moons ago.
My wife's been dead for 20 years.
I'm sorry. Our
and
condolences.
I miss her every day.
Oh.
She was such a part of
such a part of your life.
Yes.
Oh.
I guess we were married for 15, 20 years or so. I've never been asked that question. I've never thought. I know that every day was a happy day.
Oh my gosh. Well, that's how I first met Harvey. I did a big Theater for Ideas series, and his wife, Harvey and his wife, came to almost every show, either in the audience or Harvey performed at 3 or 4 of them doing...
Thanks to Jean.
Yeah, it was Jean.
Jean. And she said, you have to come along. This is wonderful man.
Oh. Well, thank you.
Yeah, I'm glad that we're interviewing you, because you've been one of my favorite talent that I had on my show.
Me.
And getting towards the end of the show, we got less than 5 minutes. So, is there anything you want to say to the people in my audience? How great youth theater is?
I think we all wish them a Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Yes.
Yes. And I don't know when this will be on. Maybe it'll be on this weekend. I don't know. You never know.
The play opens a week from today.
Oh, my goodness.
Yes.
Well, I'm going to see if I can get this on before Christmas, this show that you and I are in, and with Terry.
Wonderful cast. 37 wonderful, beautiful children.
What was last night a rehearsal? I thought you said there was a...
Last night was our last rehearsal before we go.
Over
and we
there.
have to set up a window unit. We have to set up a castle. We have a lot of work to do over there.
Well, besides all your artistic achievements and you're an inspiration to show that age is just a number.
Oh, yes, it is.
You know, that...
It is. And I'm lucky. I'm very lucky that I have a job. I get up in the morning and I know I have someplace to go, and I think that's the answer.
And you know, and that you're appreciated here.
Oh, yes, yes.
And the work gives you a tremendous meaning, I know. I mean, I do similar things for art.
It's a very unique town. How many towns have a symphony orchestra and all these 4 or 5 theaters groups and a ballet and a dance collective, and the opportunities are endless in Fort Wayne.
Would your youth theater would ever like to do anything with track with us? Three Rivers Art Center for Kids, which we are. Would you like to work with us?
Yes.
Yeah,
I'd like to.
We're starting to work with a school called Crossing Educational Center, an alternative high school.
Yes.
I've been throwing your name around. I hope you'll forgive me, but
okay.
yeah. I know Harvey, and I think Harvey would be interested in coming and doing something, rather just sharing some stories or work with the kids.
Yes.
Okay, great.
Well, it's going on towards the end of the show. We have to have you on again, my friend.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you for having me today.
Definitely, Harvey. Thank you. You're always an inspiration and a pleasure, and yeah.
This is Patty Hunter with Patty's Page with a special interview with Harvey Cocks and my co-host Terrence Doran, or Terry. So thank you for coming. So see you next week, and Merry Christmas.
Godspeed.